Hello everyone, welcome to another game review lesson. Many thanks to another subscriber who very generously shared this game with us. So let's take a look at this game. This is an example of having a huge lead at the beginning and losing it at the end. So it's a heartbreaker, and we're gonna show most of the moves until the end. Not the very end, but the end when black loses the lead completely. So let's see how this plays out. So the upper right, this is perfectly fine. It's an outdated joseki. I cover it in lessons 502. So number 8 is considered slow. If you're black, if you want to move more quickly, you can play this move first. So number 9 is considered a very good move by AI. And if you're white, you would want to avoid this pattern. But of course, for the purpose of beginners, amateur games, it doesn't matter that much. But for professional players, they would definitely want to avoid having black play at number 11. So if you're white, probably play here first. This diagonal move, it's a very simple joseki. And now, I think number 14 is interesting. Maybe black should block here, but white will play something like this. But white has sente. Maybe that's what white wants here. The proper move should be this diagonal attachment. It'll be something like this. But black has sente here, and black can play elsewhere. And white is right not to play anywhere here on the upper side, because the value of the upper side is really reduced by number 10 already here. So if white plays at number 14 here, the upper side is already not very valuable, because white only has these moves on the third line. It doesn't have a whole lot of potential. So I think number 14 is an interesting move. Maybe not the best move for white, but I think it works. So black takes sente, perfectly fine. And white cross once, it's okay, right? Because it kind of reduces the weakness by number 14. Although arguably, white can come in this way. Maybe it's sharper to come in directly. But of course, when black blocks here, there's a weakness here, so white will have to play an extra move here. But this should be playable as well. Anyway, so we have this exchange, and this joseki. And now, the first very problematic move is number 22. One useful thing I mentioned in previous game reviews is to take your eyes off your opponent's previous stone, basically, and then look at the whole board, right? So now we can see that the lower right quadrant is basically empty. So white should play something here, or here, or here, right? These are the top 3 moves that white should consider. And really here, by choosing this joseki at number 18 and 20, white is giving up the left side. It's saying, I'll take the corner, I'll take sente, but you take the left side. And that's what this joseki is all about. And that's perfectly fine. You're not trying to take everything, right? And that's impossible to do. But now white is saying, wait a minute, I want the left side too. And this is really small, first of all, and it's not a great move. Well, part of the reason why white plays here is because there are 2 stones already here, and it's very easy for white to connect this stone back, as we'll see. But the problem is that this is pretty small, right? So one analogy you can think of is that these 2 stones are like coupons at a store. But these are coupons for things that are really worthless, that you didn't buy the thing without the coupon. But now the store gives you a coupon, you kind of want to buy it, right? But that doesn't make sense, right? Psychologically, it's a trap. Very easy to fall into. But seriously, you don't want to play this move just because you have a nice setup here on the second line. So white falls for this. Number 23, very good, right? You wouldn't really want to cut it off and let it jump out. I mean, this way, black is not afraid of this fight, but I think number 23 is a good move. Just keep white down. And 24 is another bad move. So when you have this pattern, 2 stones here in the third line, and 3 stones here in the fourth line. This is almost always good for whoever's on the fourth line, because this is too solid. And if you play on the third line, you're not gaining a whole lot of territory. You just buried enough ice space to make a living shape. So number 24, another bad move. 24 should be here instead, right? So if black cuts you this way, now black has 2 cutting points to take care of. This is probably not okay for black because number 121 will be captured by this ladder. And if black connects here, white can play something on the outside. This ladder doesn't work, right? But white can play something on the outside like this. Or this, maybe this. I don't know. So 24 is a sharper move. So black will probably just have to cover from the outside. But this is still okay for black. Right? This is still pretty good for black. Black is still very solid on the outside. And white is not gaining much by destroying the side. So the whole thing about taking the side, right, invading the side, is very amateurish because white is basically trading a little bit of territory here for a very, very solid wall by black. But you might argue that the alternative might be black getting both the territory here and the potential. But that's not necessarily right because white can come in this way, right? White can play on the outside in the future and maybe even come in to black's territory from the outside, right? Say if black doesn't answer this way, white can come in this way. So there are actually many more possibilities than just black securing the left side. But now, by playing on the left side, by invading here, white is basically trading a little bit of territory for a very solid wall on the outside. So this is, if you play on the 3rd line, trading for your opponent's wall on the 4th line, usually not a great idea. I would say 80–90% of the time. If you see a pattern like this is good for black. And now this is where white blunders really badly. You always have to secure the corner with number 28 right here on the 3-3 point, right? Instead, white crawls on the 2nd line. You don't need to crawl on the 2nd line. Black is not about to kill this group because black needs to block here first. And white will have some ice space here. There's some weaknesses with black's shape, so white should be able to make a living shape this way. I don't think there's a huge problem. But in the real game, white connects this way, and now black pushes through with number 31, and this is disastrous for white. Because originally, white had this very nice corner territory, more than 10 points, near, maybe it's like 15 points, right? Near 15 points. Now white's territory is all here on the 1st line. And this is not even 10 points. These 2 stones are basically wasted. White is alive. That's the only upside. And black's wall here is super strong. So white is already losing. Number 34 is trying to save these 2 stones. Really doesn't matter. And for black, I will point out number 35 is a really bad move, right? It's just a bad habit that many beginners and amateur players develop. Just like, I want to push to see if you block. Of course, your opponent's like, first of all, this is still at the beginning of a game, right? This is still the opening. So these 2 stones are really small. White can take Sente. White doesn't need to save these 2 stones. White can play elsewhere. This is a big move, actually. Number 36, bending here. White can ignore you, first of all. Even if this is not the opening, playing at number 35 is a bad idea, right? Because your opponent can just block, and having 2 stones, this shape is actually pretty solid, right? This shape is actually pretty solid. It's not short on liberties, and it's ready to connect to the right side. So it's hard to cut off this shape, first of all. And second of all, the reason why black should avoid playing this exchange now is that you should save it, because sometime down the line you might want to play this exchange instead. You just don't know yet. That's why you want to preserve this possibility. And in fact, if you do want to capture these 2 stones, which is not a priority now, you should play this move. You'll be able to capture white this way, right? White plays something like this. You'll capture white this way. But of course, if you play here in 35, it's not a good idea. White will just give up these 2 stones and have 2 stones on the outside instead. So 35, it's just a pretty bad move. 36 is good locally, but I think overall, 36 should really ignore 35 and play elsewhere. And now 37, really important, kind of connecting to 15 and 19, making this shape whole. 38, it's a little problematic, right? It's like picking a fight. but this whole group is still not yet alive. So 39 is a very good move, stands down, and now 38 will be captured, right? Now we're looking at a 95% chance of winning for black. This is already a pretty big lead. And what white does here is just like gives up another stone, kind of secures the corner this way. It's okay, but not the best for white to play. And here, actually, like I always talk about not playing endgame moves at the beginning of a game, but here actually black can play this endgame exchange, right? It's threatening to cut off these 4 white stones, but not just that, because if white allows black to cut it off, then white will all be dead. So that's why playing this exchange in Sente, right, is totally fine. It's a good move for black, because this is actually going to be very big. At the end, this is 52 right here is going to be very big for white, because this is all white's territory, and white is all connected. So if black can play this in Sente, the goal is not just to capture these 4 stones, right? If you're just capturing these 4 stones, it's about 10 points. But as we said, playing a corner approach or corner closer is worth north of 30 points, right? It's not exact, but that's how you can understand this. So playing elsewhere on the board is very important. So 4 stones are not enough to play number 51. The reason is that black can kill white this way. This is going to be a straight 3 pattern, right? So if black is threatening to take all of these white stones, then it's worth it, right? White must respond here. So this is kind of a minor detail, but something to keep in mind. Do not play endgame moves unless it's in Sente and it's threatening to kill like a whole group of your opponent's stones. Otherwise, do not play endgame moves at the beginning of a game. So we'll see number 51 here. The idea is good, right? It's kind of putting pressure on white, but it's also kind of trying to cut off white. It may not be the best move to cut off white, right? So there are really two ways to play before 51. So one is just to play here on the 3rd line and keep your opponent's stone down. This is a very good way to develop the wall on the left side, right? This is already, maybe there's a weakness here. This is already very good for black. White will want to come in, but good luck making a living shape. We'll have a very hard time, and as we'll see, once white comes in, black can build another wall. So it's never a good idea for white. Or if you want to play more harshly, you can play this move, right? If you really want to cut it off. Though I don't think this should be black's priority, right? You can play something like this. But taking about 10 points, less than 20 points of territory in exchange for this, it's not worth it, right? If white captures 51 this way, then the influence of the wall will be reduced. So this is not a good idea to sacrifice. So if I were black, I would just play this move. Just keep it simple, right? Now maybe play another move here, or if you want to keep building it, just keep it simple at this point. So 51 is okay, but the problem, right, when you're in the lead, you should avoid moves like 55. And we're going to see similar moves by black throughout the rest of the game. And that's exactly why black eventually had many problems with his shape, right? You're leaving these cutting points for your opponents, right? And that's pretty dangerous, pretty dangerous. So white cuts here doesn't matter that much, right? Because black is so solid here on the left side. And now this is still great for black, right? This whole white group now is trying to escape. And as it escapes, number 70 is really confusing. It's not really building an eye. It's kind of trying to attack black's wall, but black is so solid, right? It's so solid. It's 95% alive. Not 100% yet, but it's so solid. It's not attackable at this point. So 70 is problematic. 71. Now black should try to enclose white. So the way it played out is 75, attachment first, and then black can sacrifice 75, which is not necessary, right? 75 should be here. You shouldn't give your opponent a freebie when you're allowing them to make a living shape. I don't think white is alive. Is white alive? Right? If you can, 82 doesn't work. It'll be something like this. Can white make a living shape? I don't think so. Maybe it can. I don't know. You can figure this out on your own. But I would at least enclose white this way, right? In Sente, white will have to do something on the inside. And now look at black's wall here, right? Black builds a new wall, and black can win very easily now. Just secure this side, the center. White might want to come to the side like this. Doesn't matter. You secure the corner. Or if white comes into the corner, you just secure the side. So this is actually very easy for black to do. Just you have to enclose white in Sente without giving it a freebie, right? So the problem with 81 is that now white is thinking it's already alive, and black is not enclosing it in Sente because it could give away a stone as part of a real eye, right? So white is playing more aggressively with 82, 83, 84, and now black makes another mistake, right? These are all small mistakes, but they do add up, right? 85 is a mistake because you should not allow your wall to be breached, right? With 86 and 88, black's wall is breached. And now the right side is all of a sudden kind of up for grabs. Before this, there's a black wall. And this is all going to be black's territory. So that's why you need to be really careful not to allow your wall to be breached. 85 should be here. There's no Atari here. No way white can come out, right? And even if all of these 7 black stones are going to be killed, this is still worth it to preserve the wall. But of course here, there's no way white can kill these 7 stones. White will be killed first. So for white, we'll just have another group that doesn't have any real eye. It will probably be killed, right? So this is how you want your opponents to play, right? Instead, black makes a mistake here and allows the wall to be breached like this. So there's no more wall, but black is still winning, right? So black comes down to the left side here. 92 is problematic. It's hard to come in from this way. It's probably best to just try to preserve your own territory, or just ignore 91, I think. Anyway, 92, problematic. 93, 94, 95, 94 again. It's not a big move. White should really come in this way. Just small moves. Now white is afraid of being cut off, so he plays the number 96. So this is all pretty bad for white, this whole sequence. It's really slow. And now, how can black enclose the lower right? I think 99 is perfectly fine, right? Because you do not want to play here and allow white to play this. But of course, black can make a living shape very easily, and white will have to scramble to make a living shape. And of course, black can just connect with this group. So I wouldn't worry about an invasion by white here on the lower side. But playing here is pretty solid. White comes in this way. Again, black should be a little more aggressive by playing here. Just allow white to live in the corner and take whatever is outside. So black should be able to gain some territory here on the outside, even though the wall is breached. In real game, black preserves the corner. 102 is here. It's kind of a slow move. And now black should really play this one space pincer. So white can gain some kind of an eye space here. This is only one real eye, or half a real eye. White needs another move. And now black can attack white this way. Right, something like this. And white will be in a difficult position. So that's why you need to play more aggressively. So 103 is not harsh enough. It's not harsh enough. And white comes in, right? So this is where black plays too conservatively. And black jumps, right? So here, obviously, black is really strong. And 104 is not connected with anywhere. So if you want to attack, just play this diagonal move. And there's just no way this group can escape. right? White will be cut off, and white has no ice space, so white will almost certainly die. So that's why you need to play 105 more aggressively. But even playing here is okay. So I'm being very lenient towards black. But as you can see, these lenient moves add up, and it's not very fun at the end. So 111 is another problematic move because now it allows white to play here. So black still needs to connect with the corner, right? The corner is important. Black should play here. White cannot cut it off, right? White has 2 cutting points here, and black can still succeed this way. Or this doesn't work. This just makes it worse for white, right? White has 2 cutting points here, and this doesn't work for white. But in a real game, 113 connected this way, and this allows white to somehow cut off this entire corner. Or I think maybe black should play here, but you might be worried about white playing something like this and cut off this group, which is sizable, right? So maybe that's why black played here. And 121, always a bad move because you lose 1 liberty by playing here, right? Compare this with this, right? Now you have an extra liberty here, and white has a potential weakness with this shape. But if you play 121 here, if you push first, you lose 1 liberty. And now after 126, you're already very short on liberties, and black is already dead here in the corner. And I have no idea why white would want to play in 132. It makes no sense at all, because white already captured the corner, so white should really just try to at least start building an eye here and see if it can live here, right? So after 132, black attacks white. Seems pretty hopeless for white. And this will get to my last point, and that is life and death exercise, capturing exercise, and capture race exercise. And that's exactly what my channel does. You just need these types of exercises. So you need to know exactly what to do in this type of game situation, right? So now, where should black go? Black should play this move, right? Kind of neutralizes this potential eye. This will be a fake eye, and there's no way white can escape. But black is all alive, right? So white will be dead this way very easily. Instead, black plays on the outside, right? Because black doesn't know exactly how white can potentially make a living shape this way. Once again, this is really a life and death problem. What should black do now? And the answer should be pretty easy. It should be bending this way. There's nothing white can play here, right? White can't cut you off. There's nothing white can do, right? Instead, black played on this side. And this is, if you do some of the life and death problems, you're going to know that this is not going to work. Because this is on the corner, white can throw in here and capture these 3 stones. After you recapture one, white still has a real eye. So it's not a super difficult life and death problem, but both sides just kind of ignored it, right? Assumed that 149 worked. And we're going to see a lot of moves are just wrong on both sides. And the fact that white won in the end is just a matter of luck, really. I don't think white knew exactly what he was doing either. So this is exactly why you should practice life and death problems. I have some on my channel. I'll be having more than 500 by the end of next year. So I'm doing a daily problem. There are, of course, many Go problems out there that you should practice. This is exactly why you should practice these problems, because they come up in every pattern. Not just every game, but in every pattern, in every game, right? We talked about like some of the calculations here on the left side. We talked about potential life and death here in the middle. We talked about here on the upper right, on the right side. And now this is where black really fails, right? So after all this chaos, really, white is able to push down, and white is still thinking that's already dead, right? So this is, right, so white plays the right move at 168, but 170 is wrong, right? If white plays here, white is still going to be alive. It's still doable. White still has an extra liberty on the outside. But white missed this opportunity, and this is going to be disastrous for white, right? Because black has eye space here. White is trying to escape. I don't think it can connect, actually. Can white connect? maybe with 180, right? Because black cannot play this. This way, this group will be killed, right? This is not okay for black. So white can play here, threatening to come in, but we'll have to sacrifice all of these stones. So white can still connect on the outside, but black will just capture here. I think black is still probably in the lead. Might be still in the lead. We don't know. But this is definitely better than what happened later, which is white connecting here. Black kind of plays a move on the outside. So now we've come to our last capture race pattern for this game. So this is not looking great for white, right? Because black has a solid eye space here, and white is really only going to capture a straight 3. Not even a straight 3 if black captures from this side, right? If black somehow gets to 149, white will be forced to connect here. And this is just a 2-space eye. And black's eye space is potentially very big, right? It's at least a 3-space eye, but potentially it's a 4-space eye. So this is going to be a big eye versus small eye situation. But white is really cunning, right? White is not playing this bend and forcing black to play here, right? This way, this will be a 3-space eye, but black is also threatening to kind of make a living shape here by capturing another ko at 149. So white plays here. And what black needs to do is to preserve its own eye space. This will be a 4-space eye. And this will at least be a seki. Right? This will at least be a seki. So no one can play now. White plays on the outside. Or black can try to kill white, right? With this. So white will come in. This will be a ko. And black will have a local ko threat. I'm not playing the ko threats properly, but we can actually look at ko threats. So white doesn't actually have a whole lot of ko threats. Maybe this is one, threatening to capture all of these stones. So this is that's a real ko threat right here. And black doesn't have a whole lot. But black has a local ko threat here. Black can capture once, white throws in. And white can, I think white can threaten here. Well, not really, actually. Can white kill black this way? No, it can't because of this move, right? This works. If you push here, this works too, right? This works too. So either this, and white needs to connect. This will work for white. So that's why when black captures here, this is still a ko threat. Black has to do something to preserve 2 eyes. Now the biggest black can do is probably this, to kill this entire side. But this is smaller than the lower right. So white will probably win this way. But black can also just not start this ko. If black doesn't play, white can't play either, right? Because if white plays, white will have to connect both here and here. And white will reduce itself to a 2-space eye, and black can capture, white comes in, and black will be able to win this race to capture. In case that's not clear, let's just show you how this works. So white cannot play. If white plays here, black plays elsewhere, white still cannot come in. So white will have to connect here, and white still cannot come in. But after 190, black can capture here, white will be forced to come in here, and now black will be able to capture white in this race to capture. So there's no way white can capture black after 186. So what black can do after 186 is that black can cut off this whole white group. If black kills this white group on the outside, then white is also dead. There's no seki, right? There's no seki because this group on the outside is also dead. So this is actually how black could have won. And of course, we're still not sure if this group is entirely alive. Even if white somehow, I don't think white can, because when white plays here, black should be able to cut it off. We're playing here, right? White is still cut off. If white tries to build 2 real eyes, this is still not going to work for white, right? I don't think this is going to work for white. Let's assume it does. black can still kill this group. So black is still very much in control, I think, of this whole game at this point, even at this point. But unfortunately, 181, they're on the outside, right? So if you do these problems, do these exercises, you're gonna see what I just told you, right? A big eye versus a small eye, potential ko, but most likely seki. But even with seki, black is able to capture this whole group on the outside, and black should be okay. And black still has a potential life and death problem, challenge here, can probably kill white by connecting here. So this is what you should be able to see when you do enough of these exercises. But here, I don't think either side saw this. Black just quite blindly kind of occupied the liberty on the outside, and this allows 182 to destroy black's eye space, right? And throwing in here 183 never helps, never helps. You have to play here on the outside because you have to try to force white to play here first, because this will be a 2-space eye instead of a 3-space eye. But unfortunately, black plays here first, just giving white a 3-space eye. And now black has to spend another move here. And what happens now is that there's actually no code needed, right? Once again, white is also super confused about what's going on. 188, just a terrible move, because 188 could be here, and this is over, right? Black is frozen. Black cannot play. Black only has 2 liberties left. Black can't play anywhere. And all white needs to do is to be a little patient, connect on the outside, right? And then come in here and capture black. So black would have been dead if 188 had been here. But of course, white doesn't know what he was doing. Plays here, and this will be a ko. Again, 194, kind of confusing, but it's okay. And black goes for this. White ignores it. And now white still makes a living shape here. Now this game is pretty much over because white has captured all of lower right. And it's all because black miscalculated this race to capture. And also because I think the little things added up, like allowing white to cut, allowing white to capture the upper right, not taking care of number 104, which I think is here, with harsher moves. So overall, a heartbreaker for black. But I think hopefully this review will give you a few ideas on how to keep a lead, right? When you have a very solid wall, when your opponent plays on the second line, just making terrible moves at the beginning, you have a solid wall, how to beat the wall, how to preserve your own shape, your own walls, right? Avoid cutting points. And when your opponent invades, you should play harsher moves toward the end. And when it comes to life and death, capture race, you just have to do enough of these problems to be prepared, to see what's going on and make plans. All right, so I think that's it. That's all I have to say. Great game by both sides. Some good moves, some really exciting life and death, capture race problems. And I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.